today I want to talk about 3 words that I think are important concepts for each of us to kind of look at, embrace, analyze, and apply in our own lives. I think if we can take these concepts and make them our own and apply them daily, not only will we benefit, but society as a whole will benefit from the application of these words. So let's begin. 1. Diversity. I think diversity is pretty important. I mean, we can think of diversity on grand scales, and we can think of it on smaller scales. When I talk of diversity, I often think in terms of what are small things I can expose myself to, embrace, and approach each and every day so that I learn something new. So diversity isn't necessarily a racial thing or that type of definition. Diversity simply means I'm trying to bring more things into my life, and I'm trying to expand my horizons a bit. It can be as simple as trying a different kind of morning chai or a different type of tea. It can be as simple as trying a new food, a new restaurant, revisiting something you disliked as a child and have never tried again just because you have that memory of disliking it as a child. These are all forms of approaching diversity. Another way to think of diversity is, how can I expand what I currently practice into new ground, into new territories? How can I, if I'm approaching the world from a sense of loving kindness each and every day, what are new, more diverse avenues where I can spread those roots, where I can push out more loving kindness, generosity? And sometimes when you approach it that way, you'll find that simple things have more power because you've pushed them into new places. You've diversified your reach, your scope. So diversity is a great thing to have in life. Number 2, disillusion. Now, I know disillusion isn't something we all want more of in life, but it's a concept that I think is worth us taking a look at and pulling the sheets back a bit and uncovering disillusion. Because on some level, we all suffer from forms of disillusion in this life. It's not our fault, it's just the way the mind works and the way this world has kind of tailored itself to take advantage of our disillusion. So when I talk about disillusion, it can be large or small. We sometimes expect things to go a certain way. We sometimes think life should go in a certain direction. That's a form of disillusion. We truly have some control over our lives, but we do not have control over life. Life is simply the ticking of the hands on time passing by each day. I don't think life has a particular flavor. I think that's where we come in and we flavor it, which will lead you back to diversity. But disillusion comes from when we try to make things more than they truly are. And that can be as simple as just really wanting to have a great cup of tea that morning, and you're so disappointed that it didn't turn out right. You got a bad batch of tea, you ran out of creamer, and the mind can say, oh, what a day, I'm off to such a bad start, over a cup of tea. Yes, it can be something much larger. You can walk into work and your boss can lay into you pretty hard about something, and then you can think, my life is so horrible, things are so tough, why do I deserve this, why did I get here? Those are all questions that stem from disillusion. If you really think about disillusion, it's kind of like we just want to paint a better picture than really exists sometimes. And you can't blame anyone for that. You can't blame yourself for that. But you have to kind of look beyond that desire, that disillusion, to just kind of accept what you're given and make the best of it. That is living without disillusion. That is simply saying, this is what I'm handed today, and here's what I'm going to do with it. So really consider disillusion in your life, or how are small ways it pops up or rears its head in your life. It's hard to catch sometimes, but I think if you pay a little bit of attention, you'll get there. And number 3 is detachment. Now, detachment can go 2 ways. There's beneficial detachment, and there can be negative detachment. So with detachment, you have to think about, how can I separate what is real from what is not? How can I detach something deeper and more meaningful from the race that is always going on in my mind? That's my simplest way to approach detachment. We almost have to become, there's an old Buddhist tradition where if we sit down and we meditate, that which comes out of the body and witnesses the meditation, what is that? It's a form of detachment. So I think when you can take that concept, and it's difficult to think about and apply, but I think when you can take that concept of what is going on right now is not me. What is going on right now and the reactions to what is going on right now aren't necessarily me. Am I the things that I'm witnessing, or am I something larger than that? Can I be detached? Can I step out of the picture, step back, and take a look at what's going on? In my early years of Buddhism, that was one of the greatest exercises I think I personally experienced, when suddenly I could step out of the things going on in my day, my moment, my life, and see them as a third party, a third person, something else. Now, there are psychologists and many other professionals out there who say that may or may not be healthy because it promotes a schizophrenic approach, for lack of a better word, when truly it's just being detached. But I think with some mindfulness that you can take yourself out of the picture. You can step back and witness what is happening mentally, physically, in everyday situations. And when you can step back and look at it from a bigger perspective, I think detachment serves you well. I think it serves us all well. I think it lets us take in a bigger, grander scheme of life and how we're interacting with it. Another form of detachment is simply separating yourself from things you dislike. I'm not a big fan of that form of detachment. That goes back to being a little more diversified and having a bigger picture. I think when you can step back and see things, it's always a positive thing. I think stepping away, though, when you witness things like that, is not always so beneficial. That type of detachment, where you become detached from people you love, your husband, your kids, you detach from your job, tasks that need to be done daily, work or otherwise. That kind of detachment isn't as beneficial as the type of detachment, or the more positive form of detachment, where we can step out and take a bigger picture. In either case of detachment, balance is what is required. And I'm going to end on that topic because balance, even with all the concepts I've discussed here, is the most important part to me of Buddhism, being Buddhist, and just living a good life. Finding balance amongst your concepts, your ideas, your life, your demands, the things required of you and the things you require, is always crucial to having a good, meaningful life. And we'll end on that. Think about these concepts today, and I will see you next time for our next Wisdom Wednesday video. Thanks for your support. Peace and love, Jim.